Hi, I'm Enlightened, and this is my submission for the So You Think You Can Cast Hearthstone audition slash competition slash application. And since I'm only going to be casting a 10-minute video, I'd like to give a little background on myself. So I'm more than just like a name in the comment section here. I started playing Hearthstone a year ago, almost today. Actually, it was at the beginning of January 2015 season. And since then, I'm a 6-time legend, and currently this season I'm ranked 423, so I'm top 500 legend this season, hoping to finish top 100. So that's my time at Hearthstone, but I've actually been playing competitive games for a while now. I've had experiences with a game called Wordament. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's really a Boggle type phone game. And so what this is at the Microsoft company meeting in 2013, I was 14 years old, I'm 16 now. And basically, the executives of Microsoft heard about this 13, 14-year-old kid was beating a bunch of adults in their word game called Wordament. So they had me come up on stage during the Microsoft company meeting in front of a live audience of 20,000 people to play a game of Wordament against some people at the company. And so I ended up winning the game, but that wasn't really the point. There were also 25,000 people tuned in online. So this was probably like the biggest single gaming experience I've had. I was in front of an audience then a total of 45,000 people, and I wasn't even scared at all. Just because I had so much experience with the game, but it was a pretty unique experience. So that's kind of my gaming background. In terms of casting, I'm more of a gamer than a caster, but I have some limited experience casting, and what I'd like to say is I went to TwitchCon 2015 this year, and then I don't know if you were there, but at the Coliseum, that was Complexity Gaming's like Hearthstone gaming booth where they held the tournament on the second day or on the Saturday of TwitchCon. Um, and I actually just walked up. I challenged the players. I ended up challenging Ryzen was my choice. And then after my game was over, I just hung around the booth, and then eventually some of the guys needed to go get food, so I just offered to cast. I just said, hey, if you need someone to cast, because it was just their general manager, Kyle Batista, solo casting at the time. I just said, hey, if you need someone to cast, I have some Hearthstone game knowledge. Can I give it a try? And so they let me do it. I ended up casting at the Complexity booth at TwitchCon for 4 or 5 hours that day on the Friday. And so it was just the majority of my TwitchCon, to be honest. And then I didn't cast the second day because that was the tournament that was streamed on Noxious's Twitch TV channel. It had like 8,000 viewers, and it was Nox and Ryzen casting basically the whole tournament. But that was a super fun experience. And then I actually got to carry that over. This season I participated, this fall, I participated in my first tournament. It was the HSL, which is a high school star league fall season for Hearthstone. And I finished tied for 9th out of 525 high school players across the country. So I qualified for their grand final tournament of 64 around June after the spring season. And then since they also needed casters, I volunteered to cast. So I joined the HSL Hearthstone casting team this season, where we cast show matches and then some of the tournament matches for the games. So that's kind of my experience, and then I will launch into the cast of the actual game right now as soon as I can get XSplit to comply with me. Alright, so we're going to be resuming with an actual cast now. I'm done with the background. I'm going to be in character for the rest of the way, and here you guys go. I hope you enjoy. So here we are at the semifinals of the 2016 America's Winter Championship. We have Puffin against Zenstyle. We know that Puffin is a player who's been coming off some great successes recently, whereas Zenstyle, this is his first big tournament in a long time. He hasn't really been a major force in over a year. But we've come down to our last match. The winner of this is going through to the grand finals, and we're going to see Zenstyle on a Tempo Mage versus Puffin on an Oiled Rogue. Getting into mulligans, I think it was definitely right to throw the counterspell there from Zenstyle. I've seen his list, and he only runs 2 secrets, and with 2 scientists, you're not really going to ever keep a secret. Right now, see, with this Mirror Entity draw, then 1 scientist, if he were to draw both, is going to be a dead draw for the rest of the game. So this is a pretty good start potential-wise for Zenstyle, because 2 Mana Worms is good, but he doesn't really have any spells to deal with the board the rest of the way. Puffin's hand is pretty average for Oiled Rogue. He doesn't have any ways to particularly activate SI7 Agent early, so he's going to have trouble clearing off Zenstyle's early board. But Zenstyle doesn't have a particularly strong start either.
Someday I'll be just like you!
Zenstyle is going to drop the Source Apprentice here. Curious play. I would expect probably the Mana Worm to come down if he was going to coin there. I think he was considering coining the Mana Worm and then realized that that would just have been wrong after he missed one attack on the Mana Worm from not coining. But alright, so he's going to prep the Eviscerate from Puffin so he can get the SI7 agent down. I've watched quite a few of his games, and preparation SI7 on turn 3 is a really common play of his. I've seen him actually just prep nothing in SI7 agent just to get things off the board. And it's really good for him to get that Swords Apprentice down early. Zenstyle's going to take his chances with the Arcane Missiles. He could opt for the coin ping, but he's going to assume that with 3 missiles he'll get this here. He's got a pretty weak hand moving forward, but so does Puffin. Puffin doesn't really have a strong play this turn. He may consider Oil just to remove the Mana Worm, because he does have the draw with Azure Drake on turn 5, so he's probably not running out of cards particularly soon. The only weakness of just oiling here is that then he's going to have to Blade Flurry. It's going to leave that as his only clear, because Azure Drake can't be played to activate Eviscerate in the same turn, so he might have to Blade Flurry earlier than he'd like if he were to burn the oil here. Moving forward for Zenstyle, if he's running Water Elemental, that would be a good draw for him. Otherwise, Flamewaker's okay. If the oil comes down, Flamewaker becomes much worse a draw. Azure Drake also becomes a bad draw here with 4 attack on the weapon, but he is going to need some cycle, because currently his play is just going to be Mirror Entity pass. Mirror Entity, and I'd probably expect a Mirror Image here. Mirror Image is a good 1-mana spell to activate things like Flamewaker or Mana Worm, but both Mana Worms are gone. And what this is going to allow him to do is that it's going to protect whatever he gets off this Mirror Entity here, and it's going to be a very strong Mirror Entity because Puffin's only minions right now are 5 mana. He doesn't have anything small like the usual South Sea deckhand from Oil Rogue to trip the Mirror Entity, so he's going to have to throw the Belcher at it. Unfortunately here we see that these Mirror Images are now going to do essentially nothing because Sludge Belcher is still targetable since Sludge Belcher also has Taunt. A good Fireball here allowing him to clear the Belcher. He does get the 1 damage on the Belcher here, so Puffin's weapon could clean it up if he'd like. I think Puffin's play is probably still going to be Azure Drake. He could sap or eviscerate the Belcher, but he'd have to do something silly like sap of 0-2 first if he wanted to do that. I'd expect a weapon trade here. It's a pretty good trade, and it should protect his Azure Drake from getting killed with ping. Moving forward for Zenstyle, I think he needs to draw something big this turn because he's going to need to hold Antonidas with the coin if he wants to create some fireballs. Antonidas is probably one of the most dangerous cards the Rogue can see. And we see Kel'Thuzad coming off the Unstable Portal. That's going to be really interesting. We do see the Sap is going to be able to knock Kel'Thuzad back into the hand, but otherwise he could actually get Kel'Thuzad up behind a couple of Mirror Images and a Slime to keep it safe for a while. I wouldn't be that surprised to see Archmage and just a coin here to get a Fireball in his hand, because he does have the taunts up right now. There's no huge weapon threat on the board from Puffin, so there's a decent chance Archmage could survive. Loatheb is going to lock him out of that play, and I honestly don't think it's correct to ever just tempo an Antonidas. It's too strong of a card to just play tempo-wise. We might have to see Kel'Thuzad here. Azure Drake is okay, but it loses too hard to Loatheb, and then he has to start spending turns pinging, which isn't that bad. So if he's going to go with the Azure Drake play here, looking up, Puffin has a lot of ways to clear, so it's kind of hard to predict what these players are going to do in the next coming turns, because we'll have to see how Puffin chooses to clear this board, if he does at all. I would expect probably Deadly Poison or Sprint or both to get either the Azure Drake or the Loatheb trading onto Azure Drake. I would probably expect Puffin to trade his Azure Drake into Zenstyle's Azure Drake here. With 2 health, it's kind of vulnerable to anything. We've already seen an Arcane Blast and a Missiles, both of which are pretty good clearing off a minion with 2 health. But, alright, so Puffin's going to sprint. We'll have to see what he draws off the sprint. This is a bit different of a rogue list than I'm used to seeing out of Puffin. He's been playing recently a rogue list with Malygos, no sprints, and actually just 2 Gadgetzan Auctioneers for draw, which is something that I've gotten a chance to try myself. So there is the Deadly Poison. He is going to trade Loatheb into Image, and Drake into Drake, like I said. I think it's probably too early to play Antonidas here, because especially holding on to the coin, he could get Antonidas coin 3-drop into 2 Fireballs next turn. This is a solid draw. I think Kel'Thuzad and Shredder are both fine. I might just play Kel'Thuzad for the body. It challenges Loatheb a lot better, because currently with the 3-1 weapon, Shredder is kind of weak right there, because it can just get knocked out, and then Loatheb can take whatever drops. He is in kind of a dangerous position. Zenstyle's on the ropes here, because if Puffin has found a sap in his top 12 or so cards, especially off the sprint, then he falls massively behind on board. So here comes Kel'Thuzad back into the hand. Archmage and Flamewaker are both possibilities next turn, but he can't really use both effectively. I think it's going to have to coin Counterspell. There he goes. So he does coin the counterspell. Fortunately for Puffin, he's got lots of ways to trip it, but if he doesn't know his counterspell, he might actually be reluctant to play Dr. Boom here. He does get Thalnos off the top, which is very good for tripping the secret if it were to be a mirror entity, and so it's going to let him play Dr. Boom freely on the board if he wants. Moving forward for Zen Style, I think he's just going to start having to vomit big minions on the board. Dr. Boom is probably the biggest threat he could play onto the board. He might have to just play the Flamewaker out for tempo, although it plays a little bit into Blade Flurry. Alright, so there's Puffin, checks for the mirror entity. Now he sees that his counterspell. He does still have the second backstab, and he could trade probably his weapon and a 1-1, or just Lotheb. If I were Puffin here, I'd say that he has a pretty good board and a pretty good hand to stay ahead on board, so I don't think he'd ever use his face here. He knows that Zen Style does have 2 fireballs in hand. Alright, he is going to Blade Flurry, so it gets a 3 onto face, 4 onto face with Thalnos, yep, and that's clear. So he knows that he does have good burst in his hand moving forward, and barring Flame Strike, this is probably going to be over. He is just going to burst the Eviscerate in now while he has the spell damage from Thalnos on the board, and he doesn't have to combo anything as well. So Zen Style needs a big draw to save him here. Mirror Image probably won't do it. We're going to have to see what he can fish with his, with his Flamewaker. So if he doesn't kill Thalnos here, the game is over because Puffin will have Blade Flurry. And he does get Thalnos, so that's a big hit here, and then if he can get a couple 1-1s, he's good on board. Alright, he's going to bring out a little bit of BM here as he's prevented the lethal for now, but it doesn't look like Puffin's actually going to have a way to clear it here. He's just going to play Dr. Boom. This would be a very, very weak Blade Flurry, but he might consider it. He could hit, he could prep the Flurry and then hit again, and this way he can actually clear Flamewaker with the Violet Teacher after he uses his second dagger and his 1-1 to clear the mirror images. Looks like that's what he's going to do. So then he can dagger up again here, and since he hasn't attacked this turn, he's just flurried, he can clear the 0-1. And Violet Teacher is going to remove Flamewaker from the board. Zen Style looks to be in a spot that can't really be saved here, even if he could magically clear the board. Alright, well, this could give him Frost Nova or Ice Block. Those are about his only outs. Cone of Cold is not going to do it. In fact, he could just Cone of Cold the Boombots and get killed here. Looks like he lived because the end turn button is green, but it was a dangerous play. Barely lived, even though both bots hit his face. Well, it looks like Puffin is going to be... Yep, Puffin is going to have lethal. He's going to bring out a little bit of friendly BM here as he moves on to the Grand Finals. Trades. And it looks like Puffin will take the best of 5. And Puffin is going to be moving on to the Grand Finals with another win. We look forward to seeing him there. We look forward to seeing all you guys again. It was a great tournament run for Zen Style, but I think he'll have to look for another tournament to get his final Keystone win. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all later.